For those of you that don't know my guest, this is James Donald and James Earl Donald. And we've been buddies and we've worked together. We've done projects together. We're James is he'll probably tell you a little bit about it, is working on a project and that's going to serve, has the possibility to serve hundreds of thousands, starting here in Calgary. He'll tell you more about it, I'm sure. But I mean, that's not really what this call's about, but you know, he's an interesting fellow with a vision and a commitment to that vision. And so we were roommates. We did we've had an adventure together, haven't we, James?
Yeah, it's been a fun couple of years.
And has it really been that long?
Like, year and a half.
Was I running the meditation group? I was doing meditation Mondays when before you came.
Yeah, I think it's not quite year and a half.
So I was doing meditation Mondays, and then we started doing interviews at the store. And hey, Anne, we got it working. and Lozing, my friend Anne, is on, and I had to shut everything down. We had some technical difficulties this morning. We couldn't get Zoom to restream, and so I literally shut all the apps down. I shut, turned the computer off. I rebooted the whole thing, and now it's we're back live. So Anne, thanks for dropping in, and Anne and I are going to do a call in a bit. My friend Anne is in Guatemala, and we were all set up to do this call, and we just couldn't get it to stream, and now we're streaming. How you doing out there? James moved away to another city.
The big city of Airdrie.
Yes, he's like, it's hard to think of Airdrie as a city, but it is, right?
Yeah.
And met a girl. Well, there's a whole story, and and got swept up, and there he is in Airdrie, and the adventure continues. So nice to have you on today. Like,
Thank you.
I was just making a list last night. I've done, since last Tuesday, I've done 8 interviews with some amazing people. I made the list last night. Alice, Adrian Boley twice, James McEwen, Puya, Malcolm Saunders, Alexander Ford, and Julian LePage. And now that's quite a nice list of our community, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's lots of people doing lots of video right now. It's amazing.
Yes, yeah.
Spreading their message and their vision, and
yeah,
it's quite beautiful.
And yes, yeah. Let me tell you why I did this, and I guess it was really last weekend. A week ago, I was hanging around, and I'm in my room right now. I have a beautiful room, and I was hanging around, and and I thought, everywhere that I went online, people were talking about, this global pandemic thing and the virus and all that. But it was all just about a story. And I thought, why not interview some people and find out what's really happening in their lives, not just their story or the story of what might be happening, or, lots of people have been online talking about what this means. And I'm not interested in what it means. I think what we make up in our mind about what it means is all bullshit, in my opinion. I think that nobody knows anything. Here we are, and we're in the middle of this. We're, kind of this specks on the ass of the universe. We're just, and we're riding along on this planet, spaceship Earth, at 1 million miles an hour as we, as our solar system spins through the heavens. It's a pretty, and we think that this is about us. It's amazing. And so that's
and maybe it is, maybe it's not. We don't know.
We don't know, but I won't even give it that. I won't even, I won't even give it that. I won't. I think that it's so egocentric for us to think that we are, unless we're part of an evolution, and if we're evolving, so is everything evolving.
Yes, yeah, that's for sure. Everything's connected.
So the evolution isn't just us.
Mm-hmm.
If we're evolving, the bears are evolving. You
Yeah.
know, the mosquitoes are evolving. The whole thing is evolving, and we're part of an evolution. I see that, but
Yeah.
we're so human centric. We're
Mm-hmm.
so self centered generally that we as a human race or we think it's always about us. And I'm reminded of the Aztecs, and they used to make human sacrifices to the gods,
Mm-hmm.
because if there was a volcano or there was because they wanted good weather for the crops or whatever they would, and so pretty grossly self-centered. Anyway, what's happening for you? How are you? I
I'm good.
digress.
I'm good. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's our mind can make up a million stories of the possible outcomes, and we might get one of those possible outcomes. So
Well,
it doesn't really matter. I mean, being in it, we're in it. It's happening. Just be with it. I mean, being self-isolated. I mean, I've been going out and getting odd end things that we need to survive, but other than that, we're staying in. We'll do some walks and things like that because we're right on a park. But we can't play with the in the park. We can't go on any of the slides or anything like that with the kids. So we were trying so hard to keep ourselves occupied before when it first started, and it was creating actually anxiety and stress over that, trying to like control everything that was happening inside the home. And then we just kind of finally realized that, you know what it is, just be in it. And each day, however it develops, it's okay. We don't have to hold too tightly of how the day has to be. So that took a little bit of pressure off of trying to control things in the house. But then also the boredom and the melancholy, and which is weird because what are we really doing any different than we were before? There's not a whole lot difference. Maybe we're not going out and interacting with a lot of people, but how much did we really interact before? Really? Like, it really hasn't changed a whole lot in my mind. It's only our mind that says that it's really this drastic change.
Well, you're a bit of a different duck in a way, because you have in your life, I know your story a little bit, have been in places in your life where you didn't have a lot going on. I mean, I don't mean that you weren't busy yet, but you didn't follow the traditional path. You didn't kind of, well, you did a bit. You got married and had a family and all that, but actually, didn't you get married twice?
Yeah, and both times I tried to control things, and it just didn't seem to work out so good.
Yes. No, it doesn't, does it? But you've also been where you've kind of lost everything too, haven't you? I mean, you've been in a place where you're living not really on the street, but close to that in Vancouver. And
well, not in Vancouver, in Calgary. Before I got married, I was
the second time.
Yeah, the second time I took a path of just not giving a fuck, and ended up living
the righteous path.
Yeah, like it was definitely a different path where it took me to a place of addiction, drugs, and then to the place where I was almost on the street, and to where I realized, well, this isn't really what I want to be doing. So then I just kind of shifted from that into, okay, well, what do I want? And then I thought I knew what I wanted then, and that was having a career and a wife and kids, and pretty much not even 2 years after I shifted from where I was before, I received that. But then I was trying to control everything again, and that didn't work out either. So then I realized, I'm like, well, maybe I have no control, and then I just got to go with the moment and accept whatever moment is happening, not trying to control the outcome or control my kids. I had a friend one time say to me, he's like, you have no control of your wife, you have no control of your kids, you have no control of your dog, you have no control. And I never really understood it at the time until I lost everything again.
Who was that, Kevin?
No, it was a gentleman that I used to party with, and that
And that he was doing acid, and that came out of.
came out of the acid trip. But it made sense years later when my marriage failed and I lost my job and everything just kind of fell apart. I'm like, oh, well, I was trying to control everything, and life still happened. And so when I stopped trying to control everything and just trusted in the moment, life just kept unfolding in whatever that was. And now I'm here and it's still unfolding. And it's not like I'm still alive and I
Well, the
haven't.
trick is not to hang on too tightly, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be able to flow with life.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first met, you walked into my store and decided that this was your new home base.
Well, even then, that wasn't what I was in my mind. That's not what I thought I was going to be doing. I was thinking I was going to get into real estate. But at that time, I was saying yes to the universe. So whatever the universe dropped in my lap, I said yes to it. So when I came to you, I was like, oh, this seems like a yes. Like, why not? Like, sure, let's try this. And by doing that, it was just pretty much after that, I just kept saying yes to whatever moment was presented. And it's been quite the adventure.
No kidding. No kidding. My personal experience the last couple of years is that when I have held on too tightly, or was certain in my mind on how things were supposed to unfold, or resisted what seemed to want to happen, it was painful, and so even though I had a specific vision, I thought this is the way it was going to be. I look at what's happening now, and it's like, oh, this is perfect, and I feel so much more in the flow. But at one time, my idea was that I had to hang on to that store, and I had to, do things a certain way. And it's nice to just surrender and just say, okay, and really, the message for me was that I was going to teach, or I was going to have be able to share a message with people. And I remember when that was coming in and I was saying, yes, but I don't know what I would say. What are you talking about? What would I say? It's like having this debate with the universe, and the universe said, you'll know when it's time. And it's amazing what's happened the last, few months as it's come through. And as I've dropped into that space of outside of my story, outside of my identity. And it doesn't mean it's not still there. It's just that I've lived on the out, in that nothingness. And this last few months, especially, I spent a lot of time with Muji, and Muji's such a great pointer. He just points past all of the attachments, and and so to drop past that. It doesn't mean we're not still available to do whatever needs to be done in front of us. It's just from a whole different place. And so for me, with what's happening, globally, there's just no fear. It's like, there's just no fear. I had more fear earlier when I thought maybe that we'd fucked up my Facebook. and I stopped. You were there. We were in the conversation, and I just stopped to look at it. Like, oh, look at that. Which seems to be, when fear comes up, the kind of the trick is really to, oh, look what's happening. And then it disappeared. It's like, oh, okay, and so I don't get caught up in it. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's the journey that everybody's experiencing right now. I mean, on a global level, I mean, I don't know if they're recognizing that they're in it. They might be just fully in it and experiencing it and not actually recognizing that they can let it go. It's gripping.
Man, I have so much compassion for I think millions and millions, if not billions of people are caught in fear. I
Yeah.
really do. I see it. And I think there's so many of us, and you're a part of that, who are trying to let them know that there's, hey, wake up. It's
Yeah.
okay. Hey, wake up. It's okay. Everything's perfect. Nothing's changed. Wake up. I think that's our job right now, is to, I've been doing these after midnight Facebook lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing to the people who show up on the Facebook live at 1:30 in the morning.
Well, there's
And
so many people probably not sleeping well at night,
yeah.
and needing that. Like, I mean, I wake up at 3 in the morning and lay there for a good hour to 2 hours, and sitting in my thought and seeing what's coming up in that moment. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know what's happening to me, where I'm vibrating, like I'm just experiencing a whole lot of like emotion and feeling, but I can't pinpoint it. It's just happening. And
Mm-hmm.
so I sit with it, and usually I have some great revelations come in that moment of my own actualization of where I'm maybe need to look at myself a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I do that, then I can usually, it drops away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can go back to sleep and then get up in the morning. But I think the world, that there's a lot of people in the world that are experiencing it on continuously. It's not like they can actually let it go and come back to that peace where they're in the moment.
Yeah.
They're just, it's
Yeah.
gripping them. And
it's up to us, I think, to help share the tools,
yeah.
and even if it's just about the breath, because when we're in fear, mind, ego says this is going to happen, and what if this happens? What if, and we get going through all these possible horrendous scenarios, where our kids, and we're living on the street under a bridge with our children.
Mhm.
Because the mortgage company's taking the house, and all of this stuff that can happen in the mind. It's a catastrophizing. Is that what it's
Catastrophic event that's going to come.
yes, catastrophizing. We're making up just these terrible stories, and people don't know how to get out of them. What happens, and they're like, oh my God. And then, wife walks in the room and you say, get out of here, because you don't. And then we have a fight at home, so we don't anybody see us in that state, and so the breath, just the breath, can bring us back to the moment. In the moment, everything's perfect. There's nothing.
Well, in every moment, it presents what needs to be done in the moment.
Yes, that's from the mind. Just for a second, just watch this. Just for a second, I hear what you're saying. Just breathe into it, because you're right when we're there, but people don't have the tools to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you bring yourself into the moment? Talking about it is one thing. How do you bring yourself into that?
I usually stop, breathe. I mean, now I automatically just start doing it. If I'm really experiencing something, my mind just says, breathe. Like, I hear a voice come in, just breathe and be in that moment and
be here now.
Relax and calm the nerves and calm the heart rate, because the heart rate's usually going off way too quickly as well in that moment, right? Because the fear is coming up, the adrenaline, everything's happening. Mm-hmm. But really in the moment, there's nothing that needs to have that adrenaline or that heightened experience, because in that moment it's really peaceful. There's nothing going on.
That's in my life, that's so much more powerful than somebody on an online app selling you a story about a brighter future. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because that's happening online a lot, saying, well, this is going to be this is the new age, or this, and it's nice because that does pacify the mind a little bit. Oh, this is for something. Okay, we're moving through, some, impasse, and we're going to come out of this, in a brighter world, and I think that's nice for to calm the adolescents, mm-hmm. But for the adults in the room, we need to be here now, and I think and because there is no future. Future's just an illusion, right? And so we can either catastrophize, or we can make up stories about this unbelievably bright future, or we can learn to live here now.
Yeah. Well, and
because when
that's
we,
regulating the body, right? I mean, regulating our body to that moment, to the energy of the moment. Everything is quite peaceful.
yes,
In this very moment in time, it's quite
yeah,
peaceful. For me and you, there's nothing really happening. It's beautiful. Like
yes, yeah,
it's
I love your backdrop.
yeah, right. And so
Yeah,
even what we're trying to create with the center that we're wanting to open is just showing people how to look after themselves in the moment.
are you wanting to open or are you opening?
Well, we're creating this to open here in June.
I have to
That's
catch
the
you on your on
yeah,
words, eh?
yeah. So that's that's the goal is June. Um, we're working on an 8-step program, and we're calling it the Infinity Program, where anything is possible. Our full potential is in the moment, and we can be in the moment, drinking a glass of water, eating our food, whatever we're doing.
Yeah,
It's regulating our body so that we can be in the moment.
I liked. You sent me a piece the other day that I really liked you about. Belief, because sometimes I get a little. I'm not so sure about belief. And um, I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Uh, for those of you that listen, uh, James Earl Donald sent me this the other day. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave in the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord, since a person is double minded. Such a person is double minded and unstable in all they do. Where did you get that?
It's actually from the Bible. It's James 1, 5, and 8.
Wow. So, um, what's happened for me is that my interpretation, uh, there's many concepts of God
Mhm.
and universal intelligence. In Hindu Shiva, there's there's just many concepts of God, and because this power that I'm experiencing in the moment cannot be defined, all of the prophets who have seen this, who have lived in this power, have had to give it a name,
Mhm.
you know, and because it's not describable, and so it's been called many things, and
Yeah.
and but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just called many things by many people, and so from the Christian teachings, the Lord, God, you know, in my 12-step world, Father of Light. I even consider him my employer, you know,
Mhm.
but sometimes we can get caught up in this word, but it's a concept. It's a way to describe this infinite power that you and I can tap into literally with our breath.
Mhm.
We don't need to, ego tells us that we've got to go live in a cave or that we have to read, you know, all the books,
Yeah.
and it's right there.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interpretation of that last part of the scripture is the wavering of the mind. I mean, our mind is telling us we're not good enough, or it's telling us we're better than somebody. It's like it's all over the place. So
Yeah.
how
Story,
can
story, story. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
how can we receive anything from the moment if we're in that?
Because we're not there. That exactly, and that's what I'm saying over and over again. Is that so many people in the world do not have this tool. They're caught up in their religious beliefs, or they're caught up in the dogma, or they're caught up in guilt or shame, or blaming themselves. And my gosh, that or blaming the rest of the people on the planet that this is happening because we're not taking care of the environment. All kinds of stuff, and none of it actually gives us this peace that can pass with all understanding that's in this moment. Be here now with our breath, right? And
Yeah.
and and that's the greatest gift I think that we can share with people. And hopefully, it's funny. I talked to a friend of mine just about an hour ago or half an hour ago who's in the hospital. He's had a car accident yesterday, and it'll be his second drunk driving charge in 3 months, you know. And, you know, over and over again, my message to him is that, you know, there's this one thing, this one big thing that he just can't get past on his connection with this moment. And it's his anger with his mother. I mean, it seems so silly, but often we have something that's blocking us, that's saying, I can't do this. And maybe it's guilt, you know, something we did as a child, or something that somebody did to us as a child. So it's anger and resentment. Those things keep us in our story, you know. And you know, and I shared with him today, I mean, he's laying in a hospital bed, he's got a broken back, and I shared, look, it can all shift today. You ask in this moment to, you know, to find the ability to love your mother. You know, it's just so, you know what I mean? How we can get stuck in something that keeps us from living in the moment. We're literally always living in I'm not good enough, or you know, blame, shame, or guilt.
Well, it's all in the mind, right? Like, I mean,
Of course it is. Yes.
like if I'm angry at my mother, it's not the mother that I'm angry at right now. It's the mother that I had 40 years ago.
Yes.
Right. And so, I mean, I'm not even with my mother right now. I'm with you.
Yes.
Right. So if I'm actually thinking about that anger towards my mother, I'm not with you. I'm not even with myself. And I'm stuck somewhere where that doesn't even exist.
Well, it's interesting though. It's not that you would be thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's that it's actually in the unconscious. It's already it's already a blockage that keeps us from connecting with the sunlight of the spirit, with connecting with the universal intelligence. And so when these things come up, we have to, you know, we learn to let them go. Say, oh, you know, and there are methods of doing that. Sometimes we call somebody and make an amend. You know, we say, look, this happened, you know, 20 years ago, and it still comes up for me, and I just want to let you know that, you know, that I fucked up there, or, you know, and just let it. Then we can let it go. We can, and we break the connection, you know, because there's like these spiritual connections with the mind, or these little tie-ins.
Well, and it's a beautiful, I think too, is that I read something the other day, or somebody said something, and it was talking about how thoughts come up so that we can let them go.
Yes.
So every thought that actually comes into our mind is an opportunity to let it go. It's like letting it go through our crown chakra and going into the ether, and just letting it dissipate, and that we don't have to hold on to it. And if we can actually get to that state where it's like, oh, there's a thought, let it go. It's like one of my buddies, when he does his meditation, he visualizes the thoughts as clouds, as the clouds are just slowly moving by, watching them just go by.
Yeah. So as long as we're not attached to them, but we just let them go without attachment. Or like today, when I was, just for a moment, I was upset about, you know, the Facebook thing, and, you know, and then I stopped to look at it, you know, and say, oh, look at that, you know, and then I let it go. It's like, oh, and it was.
Well, now here we are.
Yeah. But you know, so, but those are kind of things that we've learned to do. You know what I mean? And
I don't always do a good job of it.
No.
There's sometimes where I'm like keeled over, sitting on the edge of the bed and gripped in emotion and feeling and fear.
Yeah.
So
nice though to learn how to do it, but also the whole thing is about getting here now.
Yeah.
Even a lot of the new age doctrine can keep us from being present. You know, we're not here because we're thinking about chakras, or we're thinking about the alignment of the stars, or we're in a story. And
they're beautiful stories. They're really beautiful stories, and we can play with them, but also not get attached to them, so that we can come back to the present moment.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Like, who doesn't like sharing a story, especially a beautiful story?
Well, I mean, yes.
Right?
And stories are the way that we learn and teach and help people to see their beauty, and and we can share stories about our own learning. Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, the true experience and the true life is in the moment. I mean, that's where everything's happening. And it's funny because I've always been so scared of going live. And and
You mean
in
like
this,
this?
yeah, like this. And in this moment, I feel quite at peace.
Oh yeah. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
Do you? I hear you're growing a garden.
We built a little indoor garden just because we don't know if food's gonna run out.
I hope it's not for that.
No, we created all the different stories, right? I mean, that's possible. And it's also that it's fun. We
Mhm.
got to, like, we have nothing better to do. We're in
Yes.
this house, we might as well do some things and put our hands in some dirt, and can't do it outside, so we might as well do it inside. And Elisa already had a garden tower going when I met her, so we were getting that started. And then I built like a little table where we have some lights on it so we can grow some different things. We're going to grow potatoes and some root vegetables and some herbs
Nice.
and
Have
just
you
have fun.
started? Have you planted anything yet?
Yeah, there's a bunch of little sprouts coming up. I mixed up the labels, so we have no idea what's what.
That's so you. And that's so you.
So it's a surprise garden.
That's awesome. Have you any room in the backyard to
uh,
do?
yeah, I think, well, because she rents the place, so there's nothing really dug up back there. In the
Mhm.
front, there's a little spot where she wants to grow some different things there, and um, who
It's
knows?
difficult with the deer and the rabbits. There's so many deer and rabbits in town now,
Yeah, yeah,
so you have
yeah,
to kind of fence it off, or else they'll just eat.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Who knows what's gonna come? I mean, maybe.
Potatoes are
Never
always
know.
easy to grow,
Yeah, yeah,
and good for the ground as well. You
yeah.
know. Hmm.
Yeah, we
So
bought some big bins that we're gonna put the potatoes in and see.
you were telling me earlier that there's a group of people that are part of the clinic, or the center, and they're all going to be doing videos on whatever videos they do are going to be go on your page. The page is called.
Uh, UUCC Spirit Mind Body right now. We've turned it into a foundation, so it's the United Universal Collective Foundation, so the UUC Foundation.
Mhm.
And then from there, we're gonna create a center. When it first came to me, the name came to me, and it was going to be a center for awakening. And I kind of deviated away from that name, Center for Awakening, because I wasn't sure if people would be ready for that.
Mhm.
And now that this is all happening, I'm like, you know what? Who cares? Let's just go with Center of Awakening. And I mean, it'll still be focused spirit, mind, body wellness, but it's awakening the body, it's awakening the mind, it's awakening the spirit,
Mhm.
it's connecting to the moment where the awakening happens. I mean, how often are we not awake when we're even eating? We're thinking about all the things that we should be doing or that we're not doing, or we're watching television, or we're doing something else. We're not actually being mindful and in the moment of what we're even eating and enjoying all the many different tastes that could be in that food. I mean, that's when we actually experience what we're ingesting into our body, so our body can actually experience it. So there's so many things, meditation, all those things, dancing, all the things that we can be doing that bring consciousness to this, to the moment. Mindfulness, I mean, that's consciousness and mindfulness is pretty much the same thing. It's just bringing our awareness to that moment of whatever we're doing.
Kind of. There's something. I mean, yes, to be here,
Is to be
but
conscious.
is, well, yes. You see, there's a little thing. Um, we're here with our mind,
Mm-hmm.
and we think we are our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And um, there's something beyond the mind
Yeah.
that we can actually live from.
Yeah.
In the mind is often looking for problems, scanning the horizon for difficulties, and catastrophizing, and the mind is often is needy. It's saying, I need this, I need that, I need, and it's because the mind is cultured by our collective experience.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something beyond that that isn't affected by our collective experience, that if we can be connected there and then conscious from there, there's a whole different experience that's possible.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, is that connection, so that you're connected to the present moment, where you're connected to all things. You're connected to the ground, you're connected to the tree, you're connected to the person that you're spending time with. You're actually feeling and experiencing the moment where God is, where all things are. Because once we go to the mind, then we're completely lost.
Well, and I think that's the thing that I'm, sharing, if I can, is that hardly any of us realize the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And self-realization is to see that we're not our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And any more than I am my hand. This is just a body, it looks like me because that's who you see, but it isn't really me. There's something beyond this body. This body actually has no attachment to me.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, the mind tries to plan things and to create from a place where it's not connected to the moment. Mm-hmm. So I find that when I plan things from the mind, I get so much anxiety and get stressed out. But if I just actually, whatever I'm in the moment, and say whatever it is, start creating from the moment, I let go of the anxiety. Because I'm actually with the moment. Like if I try to think of all the things that I need to do tomorrow, stresses me out. I'd rather just be here now and do this, and then when I get there, do whatever I have to do in that moment.
That's it. That's it. I mean, that is it.
Because I have no clue what tomorrow is going to bring, really, especially now.
That's so it, and that's when I talk to people and they're saying, oh my God, what's happening? I'm so, I talked to a lady the other night. She had 2 jobs. Her kids are grown up. She's working 2 jobs, like 16 hours a day or 12 hours a day. And now she's lost these jobs and she's home and she doesn't know what to do with herself. And she's really forced to be with herself. And she realized that she had been working 2 jobs, not because she needed the money, but because she didn't want to be with herself, and she spent the last, 10 years taking trips and doing experiences so that she didn't have to be by herself or watching, TV or what, a whole list of things we went over. It was like 1:30 in the morning. She called me after one of my late night talks, to just talk with me because she said, David, I'm starting to drink, because I don't. So many of us do a lot of things to distract ourselves so that we're not here in the moment. We don't want to be in our mind because the mind is catastrophizing and telling us about all this shit that's going to happen that's bad or whatever. But we haven't learned how to be present with ourselves. And this is the thing that, to practice. And it whenever, it seems to be easy for you, but it's not for your neighbors. There's so many of us that have struggled with it. I struggled with it for years, thinking I had it.
Well, I don't know. On Friday, I didn't have it very well. I went into watching movies all day.
Who's the I that thinks he has it?
Oh, that's what I mean. I
so
barely have it.
Ego was thinking he had it, and he didn't have it. There isn't. I don't have it. There isn't. It isn't something to be had. This is all within it.
Yeah.
To be conscious of it, to be connected, with it in a different level.
Well, and I guess on Friday I was recognizing it, and I was even talking about it, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like really melancholy and really bored. I'm turning on the television, watching movies because I don't want to be in this right now. Like this isn't where I want to be. So I watched a bunch of movies and I didn't judge myself for it. I was like, okay, well, this is what happened today, and that's fine, and move on and go into the next day. And I mean, then the next day was a new experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the next moment is a new experience, you know, and so anyway, I think that's, you know, we can either focus on and help people with the symptoms of living in their ego, you know, or we can help them to see beyond that. And then the symptoms all drop away. You know, the fear drops away, the guilt drops away, the shame drops away, it's gone. You know, I'm not good enough. What do you mean I'm not good enough? There's no such thing as not good enough. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough is like, you know, it doesn't, it is, it's just not real.
Yeah.
And but we're living in this dimension, in this where everything is judged right or wrong or good or bad, or, you know, in degrees of acceptability, you know, and it's all just is.
Well, and that's like when I feel like I'm not worthy, I'm like, well, what am I not worthy of in that moment? I'm experiencing the moment, I'm in the moment, so I must be worthy of the moment.
Of course.
Because I'm in it. If I wasn't, I wouldn't exist.
Yes. And if you're beautiful in the moment, so is everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a universal principle that we're all these amazing beings, you know, playing out, you know, a story on the planet at this time. And nothing, you know, there isn't anything here. We're not ever in any danger, ever. You know, we're, I believe, you know, we're like these spiritual beings, you know, in a way, for lack of a better description, having a human experience. And we've forgotten, we've disconnected, we've lost our way, we've said no, and the answer, the word is yes. And so that's what I'm hoping. Hoping that's what this seems to be about. This, you know, you and I chatting,
it's happening for us, so it's going to be happening for others as well.
Yes, yes. And you said earlier that Muji's talk yesterday when he was on that program,
Unity something, yeah, it was a Unity group.
Yes, it was beautiful. I watched quite a bit of it, and I did the meditation last night with you know, the singing, and it was really a beautiful day. I probably spent 3 hours on that thing yesterday, the Unity group, the different teachers. You know, there was just some great names that were there, and in this moment I can't remember anybody, but I've actually met a whole bunch of those people. It was like literally I've been in the room with them and spent time with a whole bunch of them. It was kind of neat to see them all there, and I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, what Muji had said about the golden age.
Oh yeah, you know, it's a nice story, you know, and it really could be that we are evolving, that we're, you know, but I believe if that's the case, everything is evolving.
Well, everything's moving, everything's always in.
Well, yes, I hear that, but just yes, of course. And you saying that kind of takes away from the point I was trying to make. But just yes, of course. You know, we're all evolving, whether we're going this way or that way, or this way or that way. And I was just, I heard Muji trying, I guess, to lay out a little bit of a path, because, and maybe out of compassion, because people's minds are so catastrophizing, you know, and looking for something to hold on to.
In this time and moment, for sure. Yeah.
Yes, and so I just I see that there's a possibility that this amazing world can come as a result of this, and yeah.
Well, I like to imagine that we're in an experience of a great awakening where people are actually going to start to be able to live in their full potential and actually see themselves as presence, as as connected to all things, so that we can all start to live in a unified world where we can actually work together, not always trying to get something from one
So
another,
James,
always serving.
start doing these live videos. Start, this is going to happen if people like you actually, take your place
Mhm.
and share this message.
Yeah,
It's not up to somebody else.
yeah,
It's up to you. It's up to me. Because we have seen, a different way. We've been we've danced with the devil, right?
yeah,
And the devil, of course, was all made up in our mind. It
yeah,
wasn't some outside thing. There's just you and the illusion. And if we can help others to see that they don't have to live in the illusion, they can live in the I am, in
yeah,
the moment. You have, and you have a gift of being able um, to look people straight in the eye and and be with them,
mhm,
and from that being can come a beautiful message. So I encourage you to you know you've broken the lid is off now. This is it. And start your live videos, interview people, talk to about this, you
yeah,
know, and watch that people don't drag you into talking about the story.
mhm.
You know, the story's irrelevant. The story's different in every house. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a beautiful, it's beautiful to tell the story and to imagine stories and outcomes. And I enjoy listening to lots of them. I
Mhm.
even enjoy listening to my own.
I've noticed that.
When I'm really not in my story or other people's story, and I'm trying how I'd like to create my world, or the world that I would be living in, is a place of service where everything that I do doesn't mean that I need anything back from that person, that it'll come from somewhere else. So if I do one thing for another person, I think there's like, some people call it, I think there was in the Bible, it said, take from Peter to give to Paul.
Oh, I understood that in business. I was
Yeah.
robbing from Peter to pay Paul.
And yeah, so I mean, I don't think that we should be looking at it that way, is that, say, if one person gives to me, I was talking about this morning, I said that if we looked at it as a flow where everything is flowing. So say right now, my partner, I'm living in a home where I have a roof over my head, she's working, she's feeding me. I'm creating a center with a bunch of people. And we're doing this to build something for a lot of other people. If she wasn't able to do that for me, I would not be able to do this for this. And so it's all going to come back around. Or say if a friend gives me something,
And if it doesn't come the way you think it's going to come, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. And look at it, even say, I may not want something, or you may not have something I need, but you might have something that somebody else needs, and that person may have something that I need.
We're talking about like the universal flow. We're talking about,
Yeah.
yeah, God consciousness.
Yeah.
Um, in in my 12-step world, as you know, that's my thing. I love working with addicts and alcoholics, and for a couple of reasons. One, because I had that experience,
Yeah.
and I've had my spiritual experience really as a result of coming through those 12 steps, and just prior to the paragraph in the big book, prior to the third step, it says that we have a new employer,
Mhm.
and it's a reference to universal intelligence, to God, to we have a new employer, and he took care of all of our needs if we stay close to him, performed his work well. So for me, it's exactly what you're saying, that staying close to him for me is being present, being conscious, being, for me, prayer and meditation, for and performing his work well is this.
Mhm.
you know, and it's always been, the answer has never been outside of us. The answer has always been inside of us. And it's that connection. The connection isn't outside. I mean, sometimes we can look at a beautiful sunset and have an amazing experience, but the experience is inside, you know, or we can be with a beautiful partner and laying in bliss where we both disappear and we're one. But that's a God's experience. It's now. So nothing is outside. And although outside can stimulate this experience. And so for me, having a new employer means that I literally practice this. This is not just for when I'm in shit or you know, in trouble, or I found myself messed up or in stress. This is for daily for me. I wake up in the morning, I say, okay, boss, you know, and then I say yes. And phone rings and somebody, you know, I'm here to do this. This is my life now. It's, you know, I'm blessed, you know, and you're saying the same thing. Your life is to you know, create this space so that people can come and be healed.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. And I see that with you. And I've seen that for quite a long time, you know. The depth of the message, though, I think, you know, for you to share is this awakening, you know, this connection with God. And you have all the experience of the teachings too. I mean, you were deep in the church before. You know a lot of different languages of God.
Yeah.
There's many languages of God, but you know a number of them, and you're learning more, so that we can carry that message. And that's,
well, and I recognize that they're all the same. There's not.
well, of course they are. They're just spoken. I spoke with Alexander Ford the other day. He did an interview, and Alex is a business coach, and but he's also been a spiritual student since I've known him. The 9 years I've known him, he's been an avid spiritual student. But he's also studied, you know, accounting and law, and he's really, you know, he's gifted. He's a savant. The man is a genius. And towards the end of the talk, you know, because I kept pointing back to this spiritual connection, this oneness thing, and it just rolled out of him how he connects in each moment with the I am. There I am. There I am. There I am. And it's not from the I am that's the ego or the presentation or the persona, but the I am behind that. And he said it so well, I was like, but totally different language, the way he presented it. If you have a few minutes to go back to that video, because I know you know Alex, and wow, he really shared it well. So, you know, and we're blessed to know so many people who have this going on in the, you know, this experience, and you know, I think our job is to help them to stay with it as well, because it's easy to kind of get off the path. You know, we get a new job, or we get, you know, we can get off the path a bit and forget.
Well, and that's what I had a beautiful conversation with Elisa this morning, and she said to me, she's like, you have the opportunity to focus so much. I have the opportunity to focus so much on this and spreading the message, as well as creating the center with all the ones that are part of this, because she's giving me the opportunity to do that. I don't have to think about all the other things that I would have to be doing in life.
Beautiful. What a beautiful part she's playing, you know, and you know, again, we can miss the opportunity because we're in our head thinking about whether I can do it or can't do it. You'll know what you need to know as you get there, you know.
Well, yeah. And my deep conditioning is that I have to give something back to her. I have to be doing something for her. So I'm always trying to find something to do. And it's pulling me away from what I should be doing.
Yeah. Just give her lots of loving. Loving is you know.
Well, and that is love, recognizing that she is loving me and I'm loving myself, and actually doing what I need to do for what she's giving to me through love, right? And allowing love to flow and not to constrict it and hold it into one little box.
Remember, it isn't about you. She's in service.
Yeah.
She has a new employer. You
Yeah.
know, she's in service. She's been drawn to that service since she was a teenager, you know,
Yeah.
over and over again. And so she's in service. Allow her to be in service. Stay the fuck out of the road. Say thank you and keep doing your service.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing. You have a huge opportunity. And
Well, I'm very grateful for everything that's come to me up until this very moment. I've been grateful.
And remember, it's not to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's through you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not to you. Who are you?
Yeah.
You know, the big question, who am I? I am nothing. You know, I'm a story. I'm a cloud.
I'm everything and I am nothing. I'm part of all that is happening.
Yeah. So love you. Amazing
Love
conversation for one that we didn't plan, eh?
Yeah.
We didn't even you guys, this wasn't supposed to happen today. It was just that the system was down and I said, well, let's you know, see if we can get it to work together. And thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Love you and we'll talk soon. Let's talk about how we can, you know, if you want to share some of these on your channel, I'd really appreciate that. I'd love that.
Yeah. All right. Today I'm just trying to figure out how we can get everybody together to be able to cross promote, because everybody's doing something really beautiful. I think there's lots of people doing meditation videos, dance videos, all focused around mindfulness and consciousness. So I think it's great.
Okay.
Okay. Love you too. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.